There's a post on Reddit's personal finance forum that stops most people cold. A software engineer in his mid-40s laid out every number from ownership. He bought in 2006 for $485,000, sold in 2023 for $680,000. On paper, he made $195,000 and felt like he'd played the game right. Then, he added up mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and closing costs. His total cash into that house over 17 years was $742,000 in payments. He walked away with $643,000 after selling costs and fees were fully paid. He lost $99,000 in absolute dollars before even adjusting for inflation or opportunity cost. The comments section exploded with men realizing they'd never done this math themselves. Let me show you what he discovered and why it matters to you now. Most smart men believe a home is their best investment decision ever made. You're told it builds equity, it appreciates, it's forced savings, it's completely safe. You're told renting is throwing money away, and ownership equals financial maturity entirely. And on the surface, that story feels true, feels responsible, feels deeply wise. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most never look any deeper. Let's walk through the real numbers on a typical home purchase scenario. Say you buy a home for $600,000 and put down $120,000 in cash. Over 20 years, you'll pay roughly $550,000 in mortgage payments to the bank. You'll pay approximately $95,000 in property taxes to the county over that time. You'll spend around $70,000 on maintenance, repairs, insurance, and unexpected costs combined. Your total cash outflow is $835,000 over those 20 years of proud ownership. If your home appreciates to $900,000, that looks like $300,000 in gains initially, but selling costs you 6% to agents, which is $54,000 gone immediately. Add closing costs of $10,000 and moving expenses of $6,000 more. Your net proceeds after the sale are approximately $830,000 in your hand. You invested $835,000 over 20 years and walked away with $830,000 total cash. That's a $5,000 loss in absolute dollars before we even discuss inflation. Now adjust for inflation and the picture becomes brutally clear and unavoidable. That initial $120,000 down payment 20 years ago had significantly more purchasing power. The $835,000 you spent over 20 years equals over $1,100,000 in today's dollars. You're walking away with $830,000 after all costs and all that time invested. You didn't gain wealth, you destroyed over $270,000 in real purchasing power completely. And this assumes everything went well. No job loss, no major repairs. You did everything society told you to do, and you lost wealth anyway. Here's the invisible tax most men never notice and never calculate with honesty. Mortgage interest is the first wealth destroyer, and it's front-loaded by intentional design. In the early years, most of your payment goes to the bank's profit. Property taxes rise every year and compound silently over decades of patient ownership. Insurance premiums increase, maintenance costs grow, and systems fail after 15 years predictably. Opportunity cost is the killer nobody discusses in homeownership conversations at all. That $835,000 invested in a simple S&P 500 index fund instead of walls, it would have grown to approximately $2,400,000 over the same 20 years historically. That's the real cost of believing your home is your wealth-building vehicle forever. Now, I'm not saying you should never own a home at all. I'm saying most men confuse shelter with investment and it costs them everything. Your home is where you live, where you raise your family, your base. But it's not making you wealthy, and the numbers prove this every time. Sovereignty beats ownership when ownership comes with debt, taxes, and trapped capital entirely. Let me show you what sovereignty actually looks like in practical financial terms. Picture a different scenario with the same income and same $120,000 to deploy. You rent a comparable home for $2,600 per month in the same neighborhood. Your landlord handles maintenance, property taxes, insurance, and all repairs without your time. You invest that $120,000 into a diversified portfolio of index funds on day one. You invest the difference between renting and owning every single month consistently forward. The difference is roughly $1,800 per month after rent versus total ownership costs. Over 20 years, you invest $120,000 upfront plus $432,000 in monthly differences. Your total invested capital is $552,000 over the same 20-year time period. At a conservative 8% annual return, your portfolio grows to approximately $1,580,000. You have $1,580,000 in liquid, movable, globally accessible wealth that you fully control. You can move to another city in 30 days with zero closing costs. You can deploy capital into opportunities without refinancing or selling your shelter first. You are sovereign, liquid, and free, while the homeowner is locked and bleeding. This isn't theory. This is how real wealth is actually built in silence. Warren Buffett famously lived in a modest home he bought for $31,500 in 1958. He never treated it as an investment. He treated it as shelter only. He deployed his capital into Berkshire Hathaway and built $100 billion in net worth. His home didn't make him wealthy. His liquid capital deployed in businesses did. Jeff Bezos rented in Seattle during Amazon's early years of explosive growth and opportunity. He needed liquidity, speed, and focus, not mortgage payments and yard work ever. These men understood that capital wants to work in productive assets, not walls. Here's the deeper truth: most financial advisors won't tell you clearly ever. The banking system profits massively when you believe your home is your investment. Mortgage debt is the largest asset class on bank balance sheets globally right now. Property taxes fund local governments, and they rise regardless of your income level. The real estate industry earns billions on the belief that ownership always equals wealth. Your home keeps you stationary, predictable, and dependent on local economic conditions forever. It ties your net worth to one asset, in one location, in one market. That's not diversification. That's concentration risk disguised as the American dream completely. Now you see what most never notice and what changes everything going forward. Sovereignty is the ability to move, adapt, deploy, and respond without permission. Ownership without debt is sovereignty, but ownership with debt is a cage. Renting with liquidity is sovereignty, and it's often the wealthier strategic path forward. The question isn't rent versus own. The question is trapped versus truly free. Let me show you how this plays out in identity terms very clearly. Most men buy homes because it feels like what successful men must do. It feels mature, responsible, stable, and it signals status to others around you. But identity drives behavior, and behavior creates your financial reality over decades. If your identity is homeowner, your wealth is locked in walls and banks. If your identity is sovereign capital allocator, your wealth moves with you freely. One identity waits for appreciation, the other creates appreciation through strategic deployment always. One identity believes the system will reward patience, the other understands the game. Here's the economic truth about how home appreciation actually works in reality. Home prices don't rise because homes become more valuable over long time periods. They rise because currency loses value and the money supply expands continuously forever. Inflation makes dollars weaker, so it takes more dollars to buy the same house. That's not wealth creation, that's wealth preservation at best, destruction at worst. Meanwhile, productive assets like businesses, stocks, and intellectual property compound real value daily. They grow earnings, increase market share, innovate, and multiply capital over time. Your home sits there, ages, and requires constant cash to maintain its condition. Let's talk about what sovereignty actually looks like in your life right now. You wake up tomorrow, and a massive opportunity appears in another city suddenly. If you own, you're locked in negotiations, realtor fees, closing costs, market timing. If you rent, you can move in 30 days with zero friction or loss. You deploy $200,000 into that opportunity immediately without refinancing or selling your shelter. You're not locked, you're not negotiating, you're not waiting for perfect conditions. You move and certainty forms around you because you have liquid sovereign capital. That's the difference between trapped wealth and free wealth in real time. Or picture this scenario that's happening to someone somewhere in America right now. The local economy contracts, your industry shifts, your job market weakens dramatically fast. If you own, you're stuck, or you sell at a loss and pay thousands to escape. If you rent, you relocate in 30 days and redeploy capital where opportunity lives. Sovereignty gives you speed, and speed is the ultimate competitive advantage in wealth. Now, if you're thinking, but I want stability for my family, I understand. Stability doesn't come from a mortgage, it comes from liquidity and strategic positioning always. Stability is having $1,200,000 in investments and renting a $3,800 home peacefully. Instability is having $180,000 in equity and $420,000 in debt with no reserves. One position can weather any storm, the other collapses under the first wave. Here's what I want you to do with this information right now today. If you own your home, I'm not telling you to sell it tomorrow morning. I'm telling you to see it clearly for what it actually is, finally. It's shelter. It's not your wealth-building engine. And that distinction changes absolutely everything. If you're considering buying, run the real numbers first with brutal complete honesty. Calculate mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and opportunity cost over 20 years. Compare that to renting and investing, the difference in productive assets that compound. Then decide from sovereignty, not from what society says successful men do. If you want to go deeper into this framework and rebuild your wealth identity, join us on Patreon, where we break down sovereign capital allocation strategies step by step. We show you how to build liquid, debt-free wealth while everyone else stays trapped. You'll get access to frameworks, case studies, and tools that shift your financial reality. Link is in the description, and it's where serious men do the real work. And if this video shifted something in you, subscribe to this channel now. We're building a global movement of sovereign, debt-free, spiritually aware wealth builders worldwide. Men who refuse to follow the herd and who design their lives with clarity. Hit that subscribe button and join thousands of men who are done playing small. Let me leave you with this final truth to carry with you today. Wealth is not what you own, it's what you control and deploy freely. Sovereignty is not refusing to own, it's refusing to be owned by anything. The system profits when you confuse shelter with investment and debt with wealth. But now you see it, and you can't unsee it ever again. You have a choice right now in this exact moment of your life. Stay locked in the story you were sold, or move into sovereign clarity. One path feels safe, but quietly destroys wealth over decades of slow erosion. The other path feels uncertain, but builds real freedom, real power, real generational wealth. Most men will watch this video and do nothing because it challenges their identity. But you're not most men, or you wouldn't have watched this far today. You're the man who questions, who calculates, who moves before the crowd wakes. Welcome to Luxona, where men refuse to play small.